Have you ever crashed out or got really upset? I'm not even kidding, because the ball is gonna be off. And then showed your butt, but then later on you thought about it and you were ashamed of your actions. But I was wondering, like, why don't we think about it then? Why can't we control it before it ever happens? So, I read this book called Up Your Brain by Dr. Faith G. Harper. And basically, she's a licensed therapist. She works in trauma recovery and she's teachers all around the state. And I picked the book because I was trying to get answers to that question. I was trying to find out the answer of the question of how does understanding the science behind your brain help you manage your emotions. So I found the book, and I thought the book was going to be more like serious, and like straight to the point, and helped you with tips to understand your brain and understand how you can help that, how that can help you, and then continue on with like emotionally controlling yourself, I guess you would say. But it wasn't. Aww. The main points I want to bring up that I got from the book is the science behind emotions, healing through neuroplasticity, and the style and tone that she got her points across. When she was speaking of the science behind emotions, she explains the emotions like anxiety, fear, and depression all in depth. But she really makes sure that we know that those are all survival mechanisms of the amygdala hijack, which the amygdala is the part of the brain that processes your emotions. And when we understand that the reactions are natural and not just signs of being broken or crazy or what the world says these signs are, you'll be able to help the people feel themselves and not blame themselves, and understand that they shouldn't be ashamed and that they can help themselves. Healing through neuroplasticity. So that's basically just like the process of the brain being able to rewire itself, and that the emotions are all built in and trained to happen. But if you can rewire and process, you'll be able to control it. Like even through trauma and bad experience, they shape our brain, but we can change it with practice, patience, and self-awareness. The style and the tone of the book is actually really different. It was something I wasn't expecting. The style is casual, smooth, calm, and collective, but it uses humor and cuss words and lots of relatable examples of like the crashing out and have you ever been this, have you ever did this. And it feels like you're talking to a friend who's explaining something to you, rather than like a professor reading straight from the textbook, which makes it easier to understand what she's speaking on, but it also makes it like more interesting. It keeps you in to the book instead of just like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Here she goes again, And that is my book on your brain. After reading the book, I learned that yes, knowing the science behind your brain can help you manage your emotions. I learned that it's not about being strong and just fighting through, but I learned that it's better to work with your brain, understand your brain, rather than working against it. Definitely recommend it to any people that want to go in the psychology field, want to learn about the brain, or even those that are going through mental health problems or struggles of like depression, anxiety, because it's really helpful. It's full of tips, it's full of knowledge, and I feel like once you get to the end of the book, you'll be able to rewire that whole brain. First, I'll be talking about how emotional intelligence plays a huge role in decision making and problem solving, and it's just important as original knowledge, like regular textbook knowledge and things like that. During our government side of the Rehugoo, I read an article from David Brooks. The article basically speaks on how our culture and our country is very advanced in the textbook side of things, but we have fallen behind in our emotional side of things. He wants us to understand that being intelligent isn't all about knowing your textbook facts or going to school and all these things. But you need to be emotionally smart, I guess you would say. You need to be just as smart in your emotions and understand how to control yours and how your emotions can affect others, or how you can help others with their emotions. He explains that being able to understand these emotions will allow you to become a better thinker and problem solver, and it will lead to more success, which connects to my guided question, because it's explaining to you that if you know the science behind your brain, it'll help you within yourself and others, and allow you to grow more and allow you to be more successful in life rather than just knowing your book. Now I want to speak on how the creation of DSM was a major turning point in mental health and how it was understood and classified in the US. So during this project, I read a book, like 10 pages through the book, and it gave me enough information, and then there was a link that I scrolled through from the American Psychiatric Association or whatever. And basically it was explaining that before DSM was created, there was no way to diagnose mental health disorders. So people were seen as crazy or out of control. And it made it hard for doctors to communicate with those and explain to them what's going on, or even communicate to the doctors and say like, hey, what's going on with this person. And this DSM creation happened after World War II, when there was soldiers and people and family members of other soldiers that needed support with their mental health, but they didn't know how to do it. DSM created a common language within the patients and the doctors to explain what was going on with their mental health and what was going on with their brain. So now they know the science behind their brain, they can explain to each other as doctors how they can fix it, and then explain to the patients that are dealing with those problems how they can seek help and fix it as well, which also relates to my guided question of how can the science behind your brain help you control your emotions. Well, without DSM creation, they didn't have anything, so there was no way to control your emotions. There was nothing to even help. There was nothing to even say, hey, maybe you're depressed or maybe you need help, because they didn't even know what that was. So DSM made it easier to diagnose those things and then help with the treatment and explain to those patients that, hey, in this part of your brain, this is happening and you maybe need to go to a therapist. Finally, I'll speak on how humans are not in full control of their brain, emotions, or the way they act. Instead, the brain does the process and then acts upon without us even being aware of what's happening. During the entertainment side of things, I watched a documentary on PBS official page, and the title was Your Brain, Who's in Control? And in this documentary, it was narrated by Herlin Barron and many other neuroscientists, which explained the different parts of the brain and how they're linked to specific emotions or linked to specific things that they do within. For example, the right side of the brain is the important side of the brain that does control the emotions, which this whole thing is about, the emotion side of things. And even though us as humans, we think we're making decisions and we think we're in control, the brain has did the whole process, which then told the body to react how it did. And to prove that the neuroscientists were correct and that the brain works first and then the human acts upon, they took and did many tests on just normal humans to just see what's going on inside the brain first, to prove that they were correct and this evidence was correct. And basically this helped because this evidence suggests that the brain is in control and there's nothing that we can do to help that. We're not able to say, hey, brain, stop. The brain is in control, and then we do what's going on. So to know what's going on up there, we can act upon and maybe rewire our brain to act differently when it comes to certain situations. All in all, basically, understanding the science behind your brain can help you control your emotions and mental health. And everyone should learn and rewire their brain to act differently